Today we're in the upper reaches of Yango Creek, which flows into the Wallenby Brook and eventually down to the Hunter River. So this creek became quite badly eroded as a result of some severe storm events, and those storms came quite soon after bushfire, which had burnt a lot of the ground cover on the slopes of the hills. So when the stormwater hit the bed of the creek, it started chewing it out and causing headcut erosion, which is when the bed level of the creek drops, and all that sand can then move downstream and create problems where it can fill holes in the creek and smother aquatic habitat. So at the request of landholders, Hunter LLS came and inspected the site and walked the creek and identified the worst patches of erosion. We then engaged experts at Soil Conservation Service to come and assess the reach of the creek and provide some recommendations of what could be done to manage the points of active erosion on the creek.
So we were asked to come out, have a look at the landscape, and first undertake a geomorphic assessment that looked at about a 3-kilometre reach of Upper Yango Creek to understand the character and behaviour of the river and identify areas that might need work or priority for actions. And we suggested prioritising 2 locations within the reach where we identified active eroding headcuts. One of the sites was a location where a headcut had formed with banks about 2 metres high. And we saw this headcut progress about 15 to 20 metres upstream. Usually with the Soil Conservation Service, we'd like to see more the soft actions such as riparian re-veg to help manage erosion, but these sites needed some more harder structures, so a rock bed control structure to stabilise the site and to minimise further bed erosion. We took a lot of time in taking levels and understanding the levels of the site and how the headcut was sitting within the floodplain. We brought about 300 tonnes of oversized boulders, and we also brought in cobble, which is a smaller size rock, and you need that to pack behind the bigger rocks. We also used geofabric, and we utilised, 14-tonne excavator and an 8-tonne excavator.
The project here is about helping to manage erosion. So points along the creek where erosion's quite severe, we installed some bed control structures. Soon after construction, the site was impacted by a large flood, so we needed to do some repairs to one bed control. The other bed control held together really well. On other stretches of the creek, landholders have planted lots of native plants, and these plants' roots will help to hold the creek banks together in the future. The success of the project really relies on native vegetation to help prevent further erosion in the future.
So establishing a good riparian corridor so that the sediment coming off the landscape is captured and the flows can be slowed down before they reach the creek.
We worked with landholders to identify a plan to plant native trees and shrubs and put them back into the landscape.
As a community, we have come together and probably planted around about 1,600 tube stock, of which nearly a third of that was lomandra. Now, lomandra has been a key plant in providing stability along the toes of the creek, and once it's established, hopefully any future water flows won't take as much sediment away and will stabilise the creek's banks. We've also, after the second flood event, realised that a wider area of planting has to be undertaken at the tops of the creek banks, and so we've pulled back with our mowing and balancing that up with the need for a bit of protection around bushfires. There's been a lot more natural revegetation in that area, and it's allowed greater protection for small native species to move in and out of the creek area.
We recommend landholders with waterways running through their property consider those areas as sensitive areas. They need looking after. You could talk to your local landcare group. You can contact local land services and we can help you work out a plan to manage these sensitive areas.
In the knowledge that we've gained in the planting, hopefully there will be a lot more shade created, suppressing the weeds that are currently there, and will allow us into future generations enjoy our property and the natural environment which will have been built.